Welcome to the Girl Dad Show.
Welcome to the Girl Dad Show, a professional parenting podcast. Each month, I interview entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals who are balancing parenthood, life, and profession in the hopes to learn what it takes to be an amazing professional parent. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. Today, I had Casey Wu on the show. He is a operating CFO and a founder of the Operators Guild that I'm a part of. And he is also a syndicate. He runs a syndicate called Fog Ventures that does angel investing. And he is just a prolific entrepreneur and operator, and such a delight to talk to. And we got to really get to know him and unpack his story of going from West Point and then to finance in New York, and then ultimately following his heart and passion and the journey he took to coming to the Bay Area to be inside of technology and build community and be around people. And all of this has led him to have a very unique perspective on being a parent and how he thinks about parenting, and he thinks about his workload with his kids. And so a very great episode. And I know you'll learn a ton from it. And I really enjoyed interviewing him, and I hope you enjoy the show. Casey, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining me on my show today.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super stoked to be doing this with you. I know there's a lot of things that we interact on with the OG, and finally getting to talk to you one-on-one a little bit about work and parenting here. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you do for a living?
So the short answer is I'm an operating CFO. So my day job is pretty classic. I'd say high growth, generally VC-backed tech companies, and that I have a lot of passion hobbies, but that's what I do for a living.
Nice. That's awesome. And then what do you mean by passion hobbies? You just have a lot of extracurriculars that you're working on?
No, they all look like work. I would say some people hike, some people bike. I help run a community in angel invest, which to my wife looks like a lot of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I could tell you. I mean, I mountain bike a little, but no, I don't have cool hobbies like other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I help run a community called Operators Guild, and lead a syndicate called Fog Ventures, which is basically the investing arm of the Operators Guild. Mm-hmm. Separate, but related. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And then you're doing this all in addition to being an operating CFO.
Yeah. I tell my employers, like some people, like I said, hike and bike, and that's what they spend their 10 hours a week on.
Yeah.
I just do it in talking to companies and with operating.
I love Operators Guild. I love Operators Guild, by the way. I mean, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about it, that'd be awesome. I will say that that's how you and I met. We got introduced because I was looking for a group that I could join that had a bunch of operators in it. I wanted to meet more me's, and it was very, very hard. And someone introduced me to, I can't remember who. I should thank them, because OG has been unbelievable for me. It's been amazing. So I really appreciate your community that you're building. It's been really, really great. But yeah, please share with the listeners what you do at Operators Guild. What is it, and why'd you start it?
I'll give the 5-minute version. So I have a 20-year work history. My first 10 years was military and Wall Street.
What?
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. Wait, what do you mean military and Wall Street? Which one was it first?
Okay, I guess I'll give you the 10-minute. I went to West Point.
No kidding.
Yeah. I was a fun fact of the 1,200 cadets in my class, 2 were Chinese.
Oh my god!
Super minority.
Minority. That's hilarious.
Actually, 3 started, and 1 just went AWOL. So me and Andy were left. I actually transferred to my junior year. It's the last day. It's a fun fact that people don't know, but I didn't know this. But you hard commit to service on the first day of your junior year. So up until that point, you could leave and not have consequences. Now, that wasn't my plan.
Got it. So first day of junior year, you have to make the commit. But up until there's no consequence. What kind of consequences are there?
Pay back the government.
Oh, this. Yeah. Okay, now I'm with you. Okay, now I'm tracking. Yep.
When they say service commitment, there are consequences.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't think it's jail time, but it's you can't just leave.
Yeah.
And that's the long story short there is I loved my time there. There's a lot of great stories, fun stories. But I as I grew up, so to speak, I wanted to do other things. And I just realized for me, as I researched 10 years in the military, they would be limiting for me. So I think there's kind of two types of people who leave West Point, those who begrudgingly and those who are excited. I begrudgingly. I did well there, asked to stay, but there was no way to shorten my commitment. And I remember the general saying, like, you can't ask Congress to change the rules for Casey Wu.
Yeah.
If you continue, you must stay for another, and I was going to do aviation, which is any longer service commitment. And then I went to Harvard for 2 years. So I have this very weird hybrid undergrad.
Whoa.
I think I'm one or maybe only two people that's ever have this kind of weird undergrad. So I studied economics. And when you're at Harvard economics, they're told you there's 2 steps to Nirvana. Step 1 is you must go to an island called Manhattan and get a banking job at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley.
That's right.
And if you don't, you're a loser. Or go McKinsey, or Bain.
Yeah.
So I did the New York thing. I went to Morgan Stanley and met my wife there, half my groomsmen, decent in Excel there. But that's what took away. It's great. It's actually a really, really good starting place for undergrads. And then there's only one last step to Nirvana. You get a private equity or hedge fund job and retire. And I'm old enough now. I have a lot of friends, big homes, badass investors, and it works. It actually works. What they told you in college actually works.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me. So I remember being so grateful. I got this prestigious hedge fund job. This corner office overlooking Central Park. I was covering consumer retail. It's the Tiger Cubs. For the those Tiger. I was overpaid. Single 20 Manhattan. And I said, what's wrong? Like, why am I not pumped? I'm just doing it because that's the path.
Yeah.
It's not a bad one. I had friends calling me, how do I get to Wall Street? It's like, dude, take it.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's rigged. It's a rigged system. You have to go to a certain school, right? It's not a pure meritocracy in that sense. But what I realized was, and this took me a while, and this all dovetails on the end to the operator side, is there's 2 things that I was missing. I had 3 jobs: military, investment banking, and hedge funds. Now, for those who don't know hedge funds, Big Short, very famous movie. Boom, he's a hedge fund manager.
Yeah.
There's a riddle. What's the same about the first 2 and different about the third? And because I enjoyed the first 2, but on paper, you'd want the last one. That's the cool one.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 are team sports. The first one's solo. So when I tell my kids, when you look at a job, don't just look at is it engineering or whatever. What's the environment? I must be with teams. When you say corner office to me, I think lonely. I don't think cool. The second thing is building something. Investors, lawyers, bankers, auditors, consultants, generally speaking, are transacting and advising. Nothing wrong with that. My wife's one. I was one. But it wasn't for me because I like to build things. I felt after a while buying and selling stocks, though very challenging, I wasn't building anything.
Yeah.
Unless they're building a hedge fund. So I went to a startup hedge fund. And I was like, wait, the building of the hedge fund was more interesting than my day job.
Oh, got it.
It's like building a law firm, but the actual legal work is you're less interested in.
Yeah. So it sparked something.
So this all dovetails to, after 10 years, I quit, took a big pay cut, joined a 10% Fintech SaaS startup. Loved it.
How'd you get that job? That's a big jump. I mean, startups are still even at that early stage are still looking for, some level of de-risk,
Yes, it's early stage. It's a good friend who's the founder and who said, listen, stop your investing stuff. Come on over and help me build this company. I said, my earnings power, my skill set is with assets, with cash.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know. We'll figure it out. and so you get all the titles. You get COO, CFO, janitor, sheriff. You get all the titles. I got head of HR, head of legal.
That's right.
But what I say is I didn't go to business school, but I went to the school of business.
Nice.
No different than motherhood. There is no school for motherhood.
Yeah. It's
called Have a Kid.
Yeah.
Right? You want to do startups? You want to do business? Business was great, but hey, just go into business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's very different than what the textbooks tell you, than what the case studies tell you. Long story short, I loved it. And I said to my wife, I think I'm going to do this for a career. My second career, I guess third. I have a philosophy, you're going to do something, go where the best in the world are. You want to cook? Go to Paris. If you want to invest in New York, you want to film, you should go to Hollywood. You want to understand how tech startups are like, you should probably go to the Bay Area.
Mm.
I came out here with my Wall Street vest.
I know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? The New York Wall Street vest.
I
And
know exactly what you're talking about.
looking back, I'm so ashamed. But walked to a little company called Stripe, about 65 people. I said, I heard I need to sign up for this company.
Yeah.
I'm a Wall Street person. I have 3 years of startup experience in Silicon Alley. I know it's not Valley. I'm here to learn. After 30 minutes, they worked me out. 3 reasons. Number one, I'm the Wall Street double of '08.
Mm.
This is about 10 years ago, so it's like early to 2012.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand like how to explain that. And the second was, you don't have a CPA, so you don't qualify for finance.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know if it's just they thought I was applying for I don't know what it was, but it was very symbolic
Yeah.
of how Silicon Valley viewed finance.
Yeah. Like a.
And the third was, you don't know what a tech company is, like a real tech company.
Yeah.
I said, wait, time out. There's a 100-person company. We build software. There's 25 developers. What do you mean I don't know what a tech company is? Oh, you're so pretentious. You're as pretentious as the Wall Street people in New York, you techies.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, they're right.
Yeah.
They taught me, Silicon Valley taught me what tech companies were.
Yeah.
You're not a tech company just because you have software.
Mm-hmm.
It is who leads the company. Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
They're tech companies,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of Wall Street created startups. There are a lot of business people who started hire engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it feels like a business,
That's right.
a services business, a consulting that has tech enabled, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So there's a real thing about culture DNA that I love my West Coast, East Coast type of experience that I marry together. So anyways, I went to a 50-person shop with 49 engineers and me.
Oh, wow. Heavy
And
technical.
Well, I did it because I think I've learned when people say you've never done it, it motivates me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you never did a startup, do a startup.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what tech is. Okay, great. So you can't tell me I don't know what a tech culture is anymore.
Yeah.
And I did. I learned what a tech culture, it is different. And how engineers were. But what happened was, I got very lonely during this time where finance was deemed to be pretty much back office.
Yeah. Back office and service.
HR,
Yeah. The service department.
back
Yep.
office.
Mm-hmm.
Legal, back office. IT, back office. You know who's cool? Sales, engineering, CEOs, and VCs.
Yeah.
So I went from the top of the totem pole in New York, right? Finance rules that place, to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an extrovert, if you can't tell. And there's a 9-person group, and a lunch group. Jamie Seglars, you may know him, invited me to. A lot of VPs of finance ops. And I was like, hey, you're my people. Are you being thrown out of tech companies as well? You know, I would call it mutants, or like these misfits. Ex-consultants, ex-bankers, trying to do these startup things.
Mm-hmm.
So out of our element. Because guess what we want to do? We want to build teams.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two things that I was missing. What is a startup? It's just building with people.
Yeah.
So we found the right place. We just needed to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, Operators Guild, that 9 became that formalized group. I call it the moms group for operators. Is now 700 today.
It's amazing.
It is one city became 22 cities. 99% word of mouth organic. We don't have a salesperson. We don't have a marketing person. Yes, we have costs. We have a team that runs it. But it was an accidental case study in what a genuine, almost 100% organic community would look like if accidentally built.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like, we're going to build a community and charge membership. No, it was, I created a solution to solve my own problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it pays in like friendships, like with you.
Yeah.
In all sorts of different ways. And so it's become an accidental passion, hobby, joy that won't stop growing.
Yeah.
And that's Operator's Guild. We'll talk about Fog later. And then I've done other CFO jobs. But basically, it was my transition from Wall Street to the Bay Area that got me lonely. I needed to find friends in the community. We had to support each other. Oh, and the punchline is CFOs matter now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're
Well,
they're the rock stars now.
Well,
Yeah.
The rise of the operator. So
Yeah.
now we're valuable or more than a bookkeeper. And now it's getting fun.
Oh yeah, we're like totally the cool kids now. Yeah, everyone needs a good operator now. We're like SWAT. We're like the mechanics. Send in the wolf.
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh, that's an amazing story, Casey. I had no idea. That's so cool. That is so cool, and it says a lot about your work ethic and kind of how you're navigating all of these three things. It makes a lot more sense because you're coming at this from such a blended like worldview of like discipline, rigor, and structure from the military, finance, and structured business and infrastructure, organizations to this very loose and theoretical Silicon Valley style, and you're kind of like merging it all together with your three jobs. It almost feels like that's what you're doing with your angel investing, with your operating finance role, and then with Operators Guild building community. It's like really funny. You're like kind of channeling all three of your past elements into this.
What's cool is that they are three distinct things, but if you notice, they all work together.
Totally do.
And that's how it works. I could be doing like, basket weaving,
that's right,
trapeze, and CFO, and it makes me better at my job.
Yeah.
And that's the coolest thing. So yeah, but it's a lot, but it's all complementary and synergistic.
Yeah.
And it keeps building on itself.
So when during this process did you start having kids?
Question. It was I had my first kid when that 50-person company called Pantheon, that 50-person engineering company. Yes, I had my first kid, Henning. Now I have 3.
Nice. That's awesome.
6.5, 4.5, 2.5. Boy, girl.
Oh my gosh.
Thank
You're
God
in the thick of it.
If the girl didn't come, we'd probably go for 4.
Yeah.
And I probably have 4 boys right now.
Yeah.
So we got
Why?
one of each.
Because you thought the boys were easier, and then the girl made it hard?
No, because we wanted one of each. So
got it.
True stories at the airport, counting boys. Mm-hmm. All these 6 boys were running around. I started counting, and I locked eyes with the dad. I didn't say a thing. He just said, "We never got her," and it was.
You knew.
Just meaning like, just kept trying, and then boys. So.
You knew what he meant. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like,
it's like, I know what you're thinking, Matt. How did I have 6 boys? So 2016.
It's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's fantastic. So you did this when you first started having kids, you started having kids at the first real tech company you joined, which was the 50-person engineering team. What were they okay with? I mean, back then, sure, like the paternity leave wasn't existent. What was that like?
Yeah, I didn't have a long paternity leave, but they were great. The culture's wonderful. I mean, If anything, when you go East Coast to West Coast, it gets way better.
Oh, got it.
Because your culture versus, I used to work out weekends here until no one replied back to me.
Oh, no kidding.
I would write emails and stuff because I was just so used to working on the weekend from Wall Street days.
Yeah.
Even Wall Street startups have a New York-ish. So not Wall Street startups. New York startups have a work all the time.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, what are you doing? I'm going to Yosemite. I'm going to Tahoe. I'm going wait, what? I'm going to Yosemite? Isn't that far? Oh, I went to Malibu. So all these water cooler sessions were like, I need to get a life. And I think California, not for the taxes, but for definitely the weekends.
Well, New York doesn't have better taxes. New York has just as bad, no?
And there you go. So
that's so funny.
But people respected the weekend, and I was forced. No one would play ball with me, so to speak, in the weekend. So I just had to go find a hobby or hang out with people, So in that sense, I think it's a much better balance.
It's so funny to hear you say that because I live in Austin right now, but I was born and raised in the Bay Area. So I was born in Oakland and lived in the Silicon Valley the entire 40 years of my existence, and then I just moved here 3 years ago, right? So it's really funny to hear you say that because I don't know any different. I don't know any better. I just know that, right? And it's really funny meeting people from the East Coast, and they have this kind of mentality. One of the big funny stories I was doing, I was with an insurance technology company, and we were visiting Des Moines, Iowa. It's like the insurance capital of the country, and my wife was like, "Hey, you got to dress up and and all stuff." And I told her I have to dress up. It's like a really big deal. These are really big Fortune 500 companies. So I dressed up as much as I could. I put a button shirt on. It was short sleeve, but it had buttons, and then I put on khakis and a loafer and stuff. And I was going to all these meetings, and it was so funny because after every meeting, they made a comment. They're like, "God, I love you, California. You guys are always so dressed down and so casual." And I'm like, this is the most dressed up I've been in my entire life. I feel like I'm going to a wedding right now, and you're telling me It's like so funny, just like the polarity of cultures, right? From California, you just don't realize.
I mean,
How
the amount of
different it is.
shirts I have right now,
Yeah,
versus like my dusty blazer,
yeah,
very different.
yeah.
They're,
So you have old enough kids. So you said you're 6.5. So does he know what you do for work? What do your kids think about what you do?
yeah, it's a good question. I love asking kids, what does your parents do for a living? It
Right.
is one of the funniest. I want to say, God, what did I ask? And it was really boring. It was like he goes into that office. I have this is my office shed.
Yeah.
So he works on the computer.
Wait,
No,
so this
no.
is your
No.
office shed? What do you mean this is your office shed?
So my home I purchased came with a very random 17 by 10 by 10 shed. It has one window and one door, and it sits 50 feet from the main house.
That's
on the
awesome.
lawn. Now, this is pre-COVID. And so I was like, my wife's like, that's your office. That's all this, your junk and all that stuff goes in there. I said, okay. And then, of course, when COVID hit, it was amazing. I have a little office 50 feet from my home.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, yeah. So
okay. So it's not like you have an office and then you have an office shed. You just call your office your office shed. Okay. Okay. So that's why I was like, what the heck do you mean you have an office and then a shed? Okay.
The
So he's in
realtor
your
called it an art studio, right?
Nice. Okay.
I call it a shed.
Dude, it's amazing that you have that. I mean, one of the main reasons that I moved to Austin was because I was getting like so like pent up in the house with my, 2 daughters. I mean, we're a young family. We have young kids running around. We have 3 dogs, and I'm like, I can't work. Like, you know what I mean? I just get so distracted,
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. I close that door.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's great because you're still technically home. So you can like dip in on an emergency, or if something needs to happen, you need to swap something out, like you can go home and like do that thing. And it's amazing, man. It's a great setup. Where are you at right now? Are you in the Bay?
Mill Valley, California.
Nice.
Those in Wilton, so just north of the Golden Gate.
Yeah, beautiful area. Very cool. So tell me, sorry, I cut you off because I got distracted by the office shed, but tell me what your kid says about you're working. What does he think you do?
Yeah, they call the office shed the Gingerbread House. So I go into the gingerbread home.
What does that mean? They're just making it nonsensical. They're just saying it's like a fun house where they...
Gingerbread house. It looks a little bit like a gingerbread candy house.
Yeah. That's cool.
They don't say anything really interesting. It's basically that, one funny thing was, dad brings home money.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
There was an endearing time where I'm having a midlife crisis, and so I go all in on a Sprinter van, like one of those like camper vans.
Bro.
Yeah, we can have a whole nother session on that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm going nuts, like full-blown nuts on it. And I showed pictures of it to my kids, and they're losing it, right? I mean, kids love their minivans and Sprinter vans and camper vans. And it was the most endearing thing where Chinese New Year happened, and he got a red envelope for like $5 or something. And he went to me, he says, hey, Dad, here's that $5 towards the Sprinter van.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But now you don't need to work as much, and you can spend more time at playing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like crushed. So they do know that things cost money. They do know that you have to work to have it. I did tell them the Sprinter van costs more than $10. So,
you laid the brutal reality down in that moment. That's funny.
Yeah, I'll pay for the coffee holder, and then we got to pay for the rest. But so they get that concept.
That's awesome. So they definitely understand the concept of money and time and energy and all that stuff, and they want more of your time. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's every kid though, right? It's like, it's one of those things that I struggle with all the time, is like trying to figure out like what the balance of like giving them that time versus like showing them what hard work looks like. It's like leading by example versus like nurturing that value in them. I don't know. It's a lot like what you said. It's like, you kind of do it day by day and figure it out. Do you have any like advice on that?
Oh man, I'm like the worst person to ask. I'm one of those, like, it's not about, so I'm not a role model in this way, but I don't have a work-life cutoff. I just have it all blended.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's like, I'll read a book to my kid, and I said, hey, go get another book, and I will pick up my phone and reply back to something, and then I'll put it away and read the book. So issues with that, not present, et cetera, et cetera. But that's kind of how I am. I think I have a pretty severe form of ADHD, meaning my brain like needs a lot of stuff to be chewing on. Mm-hmm. Think of like a hunting dog. Like tell a hunting dog to sit there and relax.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that hunting and running is my relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying that's unfortunate. So I'm learning a lot too. The email can wait.
Yeah.
I can wait. I'm not great at it, but a lot of it is protecting weekends. So I work extremely hard Monday through Friday, pack the weekend with stuff to do with kids. So that entertains me, right? We're bringing up somewhere. We're building a project with them. So I intentionally have things that are like an operator, like building something.
That's right. Yeah.
And it goes, etc.
So are you building all these things because you need to feed I love that you self-diagnosed. I mean, that's amazing to be that reflective and introspective. That shows a lot of maturity, and you definitely had a midlife crisis if you're thinking like that clearly about your flaws. But are you now thinking that success for you is because you're now satiating, you now acknowledge this flaw about yourself and you're satiating that flaw? Or is this success coming for something else? Are you looking for some big dollar moment or dollar amount? Is there something that you're striving for with all this?
I think I understand the question, which is, not to get all therapy based, but I grew up in a home that my dad never really gave me like you did a good job. Mm-hmm. Very strict. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was, for better or worse, my self-worth came from outside the family. Mm-hmm. I went to school, helping people, being liked. So I developed an incredible social muscle and academic muscle because home life was strict, independent. We didn't sit around the dinner table and talk about a lot of stuff. So for better or worse, it created someone that indulges in projects and work, and school became work, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of academic stuff. And when you put your mind to something, generally you give it your all, and you progress and you promote and you like it better, et cetera. So that's why I don't think it's a coincidence. I love startups. I love building. I love the frenzy of it because I love stimulus. And then the second is no coincidence. I accidentally helped build a community because it's so people-based.
Yeah.
So that is the positive of my upbringing, which is I work really hard. I'm very into my work, school, got good grades, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That has afforded me, to live in the Bay Area, et cetera. So that's really nice. I think the hard part, with every asset, there's a liability, not being present, too busy, life going by too fast. Everything's too important at work. Hard to let go. Mm-hmm. Hard to say no. I want to do this. I want to do that. We can do that. That's just another project. That just continues. So that's something I really work on is how do you balance? You just got to pick the 80 out of the 80-20 and let the 20 go. Mm-hmm. But really trying, when I am home, so, when my meetings for today are done, when I go inside of the house, really focus on the kids, be with them. And so my idea is, 1 hour of quality time is better than 5 hours of me in and out. And I think the Sprinter van or the camper van, I think the reason I deep down are doing it is it gives me a excuse to spend more time with them. Mm-hmm. Because it's a project. So, we need to go camp with it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a whole project. Like, you can't just half-ass that. So I'm going to build, and then my mind gets on it, and then they love it. I think I'm subconsciously trying to find ways to be with them and not get bored, candidly. And I ask other people, I'm like, wait, so you could just sit there for an hour or 2 hours with your kids on the ground, as they're doing make-believe stuff with a horsey.
Yeah.
And then the people be like, no, man, it's hard. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Look, you do it.
Yeah.
The difference with me is I don't. I'll last about 10 minutes and I'll start to tickle them.
Yeah.
Because I'm very stimulus driven.
Yeah.
I know that about myself. So I want them to laugh and I'll kiss them and hug them. But that play session is done. I'll just chase them and toss them around. And so, yeah, I'm definitely self-diagnosed. And I don't like it because it feels selfish. I want to do what they want to do. So definitely something I'm working on.
Wow, that's deep, man. And that's really helpful to understand. I mean, it kind of leads into my last question, and I think you just answered it, but I'll ask it again anyways. What are you thinking about, as a parent? What does success look like for you as a parent? Because it sounds like you have decided and figured out what your work scheme and who you are is, and how much of that parlays into what parenting means for you, and what is that goal for you now?
Yeah, one of the benefits of a community is you hear a lot of other people's stories, and you have a great platform to do that as well. And what I hear is when things don't go as well for people, and I start to ask them how, why. A very big reason is didn't feel loved or supported. They're alone. They don't have family. They're left to their own devices. So number one is just making sure. I think that's why I like hug and kiss them and I love you. And I just, in my own dumb way, like, hey, if it wasn't clear that you're loved and supported, you're loved and supported. I'm not like deep empathy. It's just like straight up, I love you and I hug you and whatever.
Yeah.
The second I think is I learned a lot through my career. No Asian background, right, as a path. Yeah. Even though I took the military path, not doctor path. But it is very important to find your passion. I thought it was bullshit. Oh, find your passion. Like, I was like, no, dude, job, big money. Go into business. Well, I was in business and I was making a lot of money. And guess what? I couldn't sustain it because I wasn't interested. So all I care about is, hey, you like art? Let's lean into it. You know, so really exposing them and then really nurturing that, because I know what it feels like to be passionate about something. It is one of the greatest joys, especially work, which is 80% of your waking life. So those are the two things: is love and supported, not pressured into a path, sharing with them things like, do you want to work on teams? Do you want to work in an office? Are you outdoorsy? Is it more creative? Is it external? Is it internal? Find out what makes you tick, what energizes you. Okay, then map to the jobs of the world. And you'll probably be good at it, which might mean you make some money, and which might mean you can make a living. But don't find out 12 years in. It's kind of hard to change after that. I
love it, man. That's great. Hey, Casey, I'm going to switch over to the rapid fire questions just to be cognizant of your busy schedule here, okay? I'm going to just jump right into it. So what advice do you have for other parents and soon-to-be parents?
It's going to sound so trite. It's really enjoy those moments. It goes by fast. So true, everyone. Focus on health. A lot of people want this or that, or a boy or a girl, or no. It's when I have my bad days, when Laura has her bad days, we look at each other and literally we're like, our kids are healthy. So I think something that I think parents will appreciate. Oh, my belief is kids are way more resilient than you think. So the classic first-time parent, I think, is when there's a fever, you're at 6 emergency rooms. Don't get me wrong, you have to learn it there, but or they need to sleep at a certain time. I'm of the thing of maybe they do, maybe they don't one day. So not having to put so hard on yourself of like the rules. I think general framework is great, but just let it go. You want to like, oh, you're staying out for dinner a little bit later. Okay. The kids and the babies. Okay. They'll be fine. In fact, that's how life is.
Yeah.
Life isn't in a box. So don't put them in a box. It's weird. It's wild. So that's what I would say.
It's awesome. What is the most surprising thing that you learned about yourself after becoming a parent?
My inability to be present.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
My attention deficit problem.
Yeah. It's because it's been so beneficial all the way up until this point, right? Except in this one phase.
Yeah, because my wife works, I work, I don't be present for anyone. I'm by myself, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have little ones, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about other stuff. Stop.
Yeah,
be with your kids right now, for God's
right.
sake. Yeah, they definitely highlight.
Cool. And then to switch gears, what's your all-time favorite book?
I really like, just stuck with me, 1984.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I love that book. That's great.
Not for any deep meaning, but I just remember the very end where it's like, I love Big Brother. It was one of those like, and I just remember sitting like, dang, that's intense. And
yeah.
Once again, stimulus, right?
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
is like, whoa, it can't be.
I love it. And then when you're not, being an operating CFO, running an angel syndicate, or running a community of operators, and being a super dad, what do you do for fun? What's your downtime activities?
I picked up mountain biking. I have my annual golf trip with my guys, which I don't really golf. I just hang out, right? Social.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love attending a lot of events, which happen to be part of the community, but couples dinners with friends, all things social.
It's awesome.
But yeah, those take up about 99.9% of my time. So, mountain biking, point one.
Casey, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show, man. I had such a fun time getting to know you a little bit better and really hearing some insights about how you navigate your life and parenting.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you at the next OG event. Thank you for listening to The Girl Dad Show. Please take a moment to follow us on social media. You can find us at The Girl Dad Show on all major platforms. We look forward to staying in touch and keeping you up to date with all the new guests that are coming out.